Salutations, my friends. Now, today I shall be teaching you how to make pão de chouriço. Now, this is a Portuguese thing I'm doing this time, so let's get started. Now, you're going to want an electronic scale, or any scale really. Take some flour without yeast. You don't want yeast in it. So take that, and you want about 500 grams of the flour. So just measure it, 15, 100, 200, okay, 250, 200, 300, 314, okay, need another one, okay, 300, 350, 400, put a little bit too much there. If you put too much, don't worry, just get a spoon. Just get yourself a spoon and take chunks out. Just take chunks out until you see that the scale has decreased to 500. Now I've put in quite a bit too much. Oh, just 502. Okay, 500 exactly. So, when you've done that, wanna get a bowl. Hang on for a second. You want to get a bowl, right? And you're going to want to dump the flour into the bowl. So, there you go. Now get rid of your scales. Put them somewhere else. Okay, so you have your flour. Now what you're going to want to do is get a spoon. You can use the same one, and actually let me see if this is the right spoon. Yeah, this works. Okay, so you want 1.5 dessert spoons worth of salt. So just, maybe it's best just, okay, now take your spoon, so you want 1.5, so just, okay, deposit the rest of your salt. Okay, there we are. Now, you want to get a sack of yeast. Now, open your sack of yeast with some scissors, preferably if you can't open it with your hands. So just cut around the edge. Okay. Make sure it's open and dump it into the bowl. Now, what else? You're going to want to put around 300 to 400 milliliters of warm water. Not hot, warm. So, and make sure if you put too much water, like if you put in too much water, then your remedy is to just put in more flour. So don't worry if you put in too much water. Okay, so you got your water, just keep it there. Now, you wanna pour around a bit of the water in to your thing. Let's say around that much. And start mixing. You know, you wanna mix quite well. Mix it very well, I mean. So, okay. Okay, while you're doing this, I'd say continuously pour your water in. Okay. Okay, so you want to mix it all very nicely. Okay, this is still quite hard, so pour in the rest of your water. Ooh. So, mix it again. Okay. Try not to mix it too softly. You want to go really hard on it. Okay. Okay. Okay, that might be enough. Just pour the rest of it in. Ooh, might want to pour a bit of, but a bit too much. Some flour should solve that. Now you're going to use a lot of flour in this recipe. Quite a bit of it. Oh dear. Okay, once you feel like you've mixed your dough well enough, you're going to want to... Oh, let me just try and clear my fingers here. This is a precaution, so make sure you don't try to touch anything clean that you don't want dirty when you're making this. Okay, so... remove everything that's on your surface. So you want to get some flour and sprinkle it on the board, right? So it doesn't, you know, so the dough doesn't stick to the to your surface. That would be quite frustrating. Believe me, that's happened to me. Okay, looks good enough. So you're gonna want to massage this dough heavily for around 15 to 20 minutes. So let me see the time now. Alright. So, I'll tell you a little story for a tiny bit, and then I'll pause the video until I've finished mixing. Now, when I was doing this with my dad, he told me of a story involving flour and water. You see, apparently back in the 1980s in Portugal, when it was, time for the election campaigns and all that, the different political parties of Portugal would go around the frestas, which are collections of, Portuguese villages and all that. They would go around and stick up posters, political posters, up on the walls of people's homes, which I can only assume left people very unhappy. Especially if it was a party they didn't support. But, Now, apparently, glue was quite expensive. They printed a lot of these posters. So, in order to cut costs, what they do is they take water and then they take flour. And they'd mix it up together until it's become this paste which you can stick onto the back of the posters, stick it on a wall, and it would remain stuck. So, my dad knew this because apparently on his 11th or 10th birthday or something, he went around his village sticking posters up for some party or other. Can't remember the name. So yeah, if you ever run out of glue or just don't want to buy it, flour and water is a very cheap alternative. Now, I'm just gonna pause the video and I'll be with you in just a moment. Okay, so when you've massaged your dough for enough time, what you want to do is grab some flour, sprinkle it on top of your bowl, because you still need them, and you want to leave your massaged dough in it, so just, round it up. There we are. So, you want to cover up. First put this layer on top of it, and then preferably put another thing over it, like, a blanket or something like that. So, you're going to want to wait around an hour for this to ferment. You can tell when it's fermented properly when it's double its original size. I mean, you can take more than an hour, it depends. So, wait for this to ferment, then we'll continue. Okay, so after an hour or so, your dough should look something like this. Now, time to add the chouriço. Get some more flour, keep it there. Alright, so take a chunk out of the dough. Let's say about this much. So, you want to get a rolling pin. Rolling pin. Where is it? Rolling pin. So, add a tiny bit of flour. Sprinkle it there. And okay, you just want to roll it. Make sure it doesn't stick to the rolling pin, because that can be quite annoying. So you want a more or less long oval shape, kind of something like that. Okay, just rolling. That's fine, more or less. Okay, you can shape it a bit with your hands. Okay, so now you chop the chouriço, into thin slices. Make sure they're quite thin. So I already got this little half, so let me just cut that. Okay, make sure you do thin slices. Like, it's alright to have one or two slightly thicker ones, but make sure that they're generally quite thin. I'm not exactly sure why, but just do it. Okay, chop, chop. Alright, now when you get to the nub, this will be slightly trickier to cut, so go slowly. Alright, that'll have to do. Alright, now just put the chorizo down the middle of your dough slice. Sorry for the interruption. So you put the chouriço down the middle, and you basically take the two sides on either. You take the two halves on either side, and you fold it up. You see how I'm doing? Alright, now just, cover it up. Okay, now this is optional, but if you want to, you can put one, two, or three slices, into the completely optional. Alright? So you take a tray, right? Sprinkle flour on it, and that's where you're gonna put your buns, your breads. Okay, put it on your tray. Alright, another piece. Let's take this next chunk. Just roll it quickly with the rolling pin. Or you could just, mold it with your hand. Okay, now when you get a whole chouriço, you can get these at any Portuguese shop. You want to chop the two ends off. Right, so you can peel the layer of skin covering. You want to peel that off, because otherwise it'll make the chouriço not really taste that nice. So make sure you peel. Now, since what I'm going to do is basically the same across the board, I'll pause it and come back to you when I've finished all of my bread pieces. Okay, so when you've finished, you should have about 5 or so buns. So what you have to do now is let them rest, just leave them on the top of anywhere for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then after that you put it in the in your stove or oven or whatever, and you put that in the stove for 10-15 minutes after that. So remember, leave it there to ferment a bit more, 15-20 minutes, and then you put it in the stove for 10 and 15, then you put it in the stove and leave it in the stove to cook for about 10 to 15 minutes. So after this is all cooked, I'll see you there. Okay, so after you've cooked your pan de chouriço, forgot to wear your mitts, this is more or less what they should look like. Hope you enjoy eating them, and I'll see you sometime later. Thanks for watching.